The touch of your hand makes me do love. It's a smile on your face, the smile on your face. And as time goes by, I know I'm in a better place. I'm in a better place.
Hey, welcome. Hey, this is Roberta, the tool lady. I'll put it all on red. Tonight, I have a special guest. He's so many different things that I'm gonna let him fully introduce himself. But he is a filmmaker, and I am ending the Black Heritage session of my show. So just sit back, relax, and listen to some of what we got to talk about. Mr. Simon, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Wade Simmons. I am a filmmaker of 5 years. I'm also a funeral service worker, and I train for pro wrestling. So do quite a bit.
Okay. All right. Now, Mr. Simons just got his mortician license, although he is a Black filmmaker, which makes him just very intriguing to me. Now, Mr. Simons, how did you come up with your journey? Because that's quite a triage, right? You tell me you're a pro wrestler, a filmmaker, and also a mortician. How did you come up with that combination? Where did that combination come from?
Well, it all started actually when I was a child, because I remember as a child, I always said I would do two things. I said I was going to be a funeral director, and I said I was going to be a filmmaker. So I ended up pursuing both. So the funny thing about it was when I went to high school, I joined like art club and things like that, working more towards arts. But then when I got in my senior year, I started volunteering at a funeral home. And I ended up working for them for about 13 years. And so that's kind of how that happened.
Okay. All right. Now, with your filmmaking, how did you get that? How did you start with that? Where did that start at?
So my love for film started as a child. I was always like a big Disney fan. I was a Spike Lee fan, George Lucas fan, and I knew as a child, like when I watched the movie The Crooklins, actually, I'm like, wow, like, I think I want to do this for the rest of my life. So how I ended up pursuing filmmaking, actually, it happened after I went to mortuary school, because when I went to school to be a mortician, it was rough. And like they had like this exam that we had to pass. So like, I was kind of like, okay, I done finished mortuary school, but I got this exit exam. So I'm like, if I don't pass this exit exam, I'm gonna have to find another career. So like, what would I do? So I'm like, maybe I'll take up plumbing, since my family in the plumbing business. Went and tried that out down in Vegas. Like, I love my family, but this is just not my thing. And so then I thought about like, working as a veterinarian, and I went to a school for that, to check it out. I'm like, I don't think I can do this. So I'm at home and I prayed. I'm like, okay, Lord, if I'm gonna go back to school, I'm gonna do something that I really love. And so I chose film school. And right when I went to film school, I ended up passing the first part of my test to be a mortician. And then everything just kind of worked out after that.
Wow. So wait a minute, Mr. Wade. Are you telling me that you went to school for both of these professions?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And it was funny because like I remember like right after I got into mortuary school, I remember somebody telling me like, why would you go back to school and you didn't even take care of this? And I'm like, okay, we work in the funeral business and time don't wait on nobody. So like you can't let one setback in your life, stop you, because like, I feel like everybody different, but like I feel like for me, I trusted how God was leading me. And the funny thing about it was like, I look at how things worked out, right? Like I struggled with mortuary school. I finished, but I had the exam. So I went and took the arts part while in film school and passed it. Then after I graduated film school, film school ended up closing down like right after I graduated. And then I went back to finish my other part of my mortuary exam and I passed it and it worked out. So I
Okay.
feel like, God has a special time for everything. So like, that's kind of how it happened.
Okay. Now the part of this put it all on red is about just being a winner, being able to get into a winning circle, and having that resilience. And it sounds like you had that resilience, especially to keep going. And you know what? I can see where you say, well, it wasn't easy because school is not easy.
Hmm.
It is absolutely not, especially if it's structured. I went to several universities, and that's not easy at all, giving up your time, and like you said, and then you got to go get certified. And so and you have to do somewhat of a practicum, which means you got to work for free a lot of times, or
Hmm.
be unemployed, underemployed, meaning
Yeah.
you're really not getting hardly what you deserve, but you're doing the job. So you may not even get the title because you got to still be there,
Yeah.
because in order to get certified. So I understand that shows me a whole lot about who you are, and it sounds like you are a winner. So you are in the right place tonight. So we're excited. Now the other part is, Wade, I wanted to ask you about what was your support system, because to be able to go to school, one thing is to have a dream. But you have to have people pull up behind you who when you can't hold yourself up, can hold you up. So who would be your support system as you went through this journey?
Well, I thank God for my grandmother, my grandfather, and my mom, and I thank God for my relationship with him, and even like my godparents and church family. And I had a lot of support, even from my coworkers at the funeral home. Like, they've always been rooting for me. Even like now that I finally, went through the license procedure, like everybody been congratulating me and everything. But I have a really strong support system. It was quite a journey because like even with going to mortuary school, like I didn't have a car or anything. So like I lived like in the south suburbs, so I had took buses and train, walked, did everything that I had to do to get there. So it was a very long journey, trust me.
Okay. And Wade, could you tell the audience where you're from?
So I'm born and raised in Chicago. Been there pretty much all my life. Now I'm living in Chicago and Missouri, kind of part time. But I mean, still Chicago native. But yeah, born and raised.
Okay. Okay. So, and I'm asking that because I know the whole idea of this show is that you get an idea that basically you can overcome some things too. Now, Wade, if you don't mind me asking, because I did ask you who was your support system. Were your parents already? Were they not in the picture, or did you?
Well, so my mom and my dad has always been in the picture, but my grandmother, she kind of, pretty much raised us with helping my mom. And then
Oh,
my dad, he was there. So, by the grace of God, both my parents, they were separated when we were young. But I mean, for the most part, all of them were there, even my father's side of the family, like my Aunt Frances, my Uncle Biz, my Uncle Boo. Anytime I need anything, they had me. So like even when I went to film school, like right after going to mortuary school, my Aunt Frances, she gave me like the money to enroll for my application. So everybody just kind of always pitched in. So like my
oh,
family, we had no problems like that.
okay, okay,
But my
oh,
grandmother, she pretty much kind of always been around to help out. So
okay, okay. The shortstop. She
yeah,
runs. She runs all the plays and makes sure
still
the
do
play.
to this day.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good, because the whole thing too, especially with my show, I want people to share their life and share their accomplishments, but also to provide with other people the idea, hey, I can do this too. Usually we see so many things, especially as we're ending. our Black Heritage Month, which is short month, February, right? But this is we in this month, just to have the idea, okay, I can do that too. It's a possibility I can do that too. If Wade did it, he in Chicago, right? Then guess what? If I'm somewhere else, I can do it. Or even if I'm in Chicago, because there's a lot of brothers and sisters that's struggling even to get a foothold on where they want to go and where they want to be, or even connecting with their goals, or connecting with a goal, or connecting even with a dream. I admire anybody who connects with their dreams and their goals. That's outstanding, and also completes what they start. So I appreciate you sharing that with us, and I think all right. Well, wait, could you tell me now? Let's go to the wrestling first, because that seemed like the smilest part of it, right? Now, what weight? What group are you in?
So I originally trained with a company called CSW. The guy Steve Boss that trained us, he wrestled like with all different promotions. Like he was in WWF when it's WWE now, but he was in WWF, for a little while back in the day. But I've been meeting a lot of interesting people. But your question as to how did I get started? Actually, it came from filmmaking, because I was interested in doing a documentary on pro wrestling, and I wrestled in high school too, by the way. And I was like, I would like to do a documentary on this. So when I reached out to Boz, he was like, come out to the school, meet the wrestlers or whatever. And so when I went, he was like, when you gonna start training? And I'm like, I'm pretty adventurous. I'll start next week. That's kind of how that happened.
Wow. Okay. So now, have you got to compete, or where you
so basically, because I was working a lot at the funeral home at the time, so like I told them, like, to be honest, like, wrestling for me is more of a hobby. Like I've trained with some pretty cool people. Like there are some people who are like doing really big things, like traveling all throughout the US wrestling, and even some people may be going over to like New Japan. Some going to a company called AEW, where some of the WWE wrestlers I went to. But for me, it was more of a hobby. So like I didn't invest too much time over there. It was more kind of fun. Like some people want to do it as a career, but for me, I did it strictly for fun. So I wasn't like, I wasn't putting too much time into it.
Okay.
It was more like an outlet, because like, especially being somebody that work in the funeral business, like, you need another outlet, because even if you love that business, like, you don't want to desensitize yourself to life,
Yeah,
because working there, like, if you don't be careful, like you spend all your time in there burying other people's loved ones, and you forgetting to live. You don't want that to happen,
You don't. Definitely. I like that. That's true. That's true. So with that, I think that is a segue to go into the second one, the mortician. So now, as a mortician, so is this family, friends that own this funeral home?
So the funeral home that I was at, I made a few adjustments now, but the funeral home that I was at, it wasn't really family, friends, but they're just really big in Chicago. And they're well known. So my teacher, actually, Miss Anderson in high school, she called Spencer Lee Jr. She like, I got a young man want to be a mortician. And this was like 13 years ago. And he told me show up in the gold tie, white shirt, and I have been coming ever since. And then from me being there, me going to school and everything, I met a lot of other people. And so, it just started making connections. So that's kind of how that went. But I mean, it was something I always wanted to do as a child. And I mean, it's still something that I'm passionate about. And in order for somebody to like do that job, you gotta really have a heart for it. Like, me, I'm one of them people that like, I have to do something that I enjoy. I don't knock anybody else, but for me, it's a blessing to wake up every day and do something that I actually enjoy doing. And to me, like, a lot of people will say, like, how do you enjoy that? Like, they look at the more like spooky side of it, but like when you think about it, I feel like working in that business, like it kind of teaches you to be mindful to use your time wisely. And it kind of like help you to be humble, and it just it helps you to have more compassion in your heart for people too,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it's a lot going on in the world, and I mean, like even like when you go into some of the other jobs, right? Like somebody go to like McDonald's or anywhere, and somebody mess up an order,
Mhm.
right? They snapping or whatever. But when you're in the funeral business, I don't know, like it's something to me that like brings you a bit down to earth. Like don't sweat the small stuff. Like you go to a job, somebody mess your order, don't give them a hard time. Like be understand that people are human, and it's good to have love in your heart. Not
Yeah.
everybody's the same, but that's the perspective that I take from it.
Yeah. Well, I think what I'm trying to ask is like, how did you just wake up and say, "Yeah, I want to be a mortician"? How did you just now the filmmaker is a ballpark hit, but the mortician, that's kind of like how did you just wake up and say that's I that's let me put my finger right on that. And as you said, you had to share it with your one of your teachers, because if she reached out and was like, "Let me go ahead and get you on your way," how did that come about? What was it? What was the thought? What how
Well,
did you know?
I gotta say, that goes back to Kansas City at a church convention, and I don't tell everybody this story, but I actually like literally drowned, and I was a child, and I remember like I don't remember if I was in my body, out of my body, but like I remember saying as a child that I saw angels, and from that day on, it was just something about that like that didn't scare me. And so, like, I really believe that might have had an impact, because, like, ever since that happened, I'm like, I don't fear. Like, I think I want to be a mortician, and I actually thank God for it, because, like, I feel like that experience shaped who I am. Like, I don't tell everybody that story, but it's like it let me know like that we're here for a purpose, we're here for a reason. Like, cause like I've like seen God do some amazing things, and I feel like working in that business actually it helps me to like motivate me to live with purpose. I'm a purpose driven person. I think that's really where it came from.
Okay, okay. Living intentionally.
Yeah, intention. I like
Living
that. Yeah, that's what they taught us in
yeah,
film school.
living
Everything has
intentionally.
an intention.
That's right, living intentionally. Because the thing is, I kind of can relate, um, because not that I'm a mortician, I'm not a mortician, but I can relate with saying, what, time is very short,
Hmm.
and that we do transition.
Yeah,
So I think that is even more interesting that you would say you related that choice. That choice was connected to a close to death experience, or a death experience that you had yourself, because you realize it's transition.
yeah,
We're all going to go through that transition. I know back when it was COVID, I was like, well, you know what? It's just unfortunate that we don't have a dialogue like you and I are talking right now about transitioning, and the
hmm,
transition into our final place, which is death.
yeah,
And also the possibility that death is not the end of all as well, right? Because if you tell me I was dead, but I seen angels, that lets me know you were still somewhat woke somewhere.
yeah. Yeah, and it just like I think it's really like humble, because like I feel like sometime in this life, you know, people forget that we're not here forever. This life is temporary, whether we like it or not. But it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Like I think that if people are more mindful of that, like you learn to cherish every moment. You
Right.
learn that even though like as people we may have differences, or we may not always have the same perspective, but I think we can still have love in the heart for one another. You know, and,
Right.
and I think that that's the thing that like makes us human. And even like in this world we live in, right? Like that with a lot of selfishness and greed. But when you think about it, we all in this thing together, because like I said, I've been a funeral being in 13 years. I've never seen nobody take nothing out of here with them. You know,
Right.
I
Right.
mean, so
Now
my thing is just
it
it's just one of them things where you just have to, well, nobody have to do anything, but it taught me to just try to be more of a loving person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. To make this time at least count,
Yeah,
because it's tiring. To me, it's
yeah,
tiring to be angry all the time or to be resentful all the time.
hmm
It's all those negative emotions are overweighing.
yeah,
Um, they're very overweighing. Now, as I said earlier, I did watch some of you were a guest on another podcast, and you talked about some of the tales that come back from those individuals that you have served in that capacity. Could you share with me some or share with
yeah.
our audience some?
I remember two that stands out mostly with me. I'll never forget. There was a guy. I was standing in the hallway talking to him. It was his mother's service. 3 weeks later, I was at work. I rolled the casket in. I opened up. It was the guy that I was talking to. And to me, that was like I didn't know the guy personally like that well, but it shook me up because I'm like, man, I was just like talking to this guy, and but that was a constant reminder, you never know,
Yeah,
and it can happen to anybody. And and then I remember I never shared this one, but I remember I lost contact with a friend of mine. And one day I went to work, I saw his grandmother's name. And I'm like, I know Bernice Jordan. And I went in and it was her. And I'm like, man, I had lost contact with him. But it's like, just, being in that industry, like it shows you time is just, you never know. But it's just, it just really encourages you to treat people right. But also like another part of it is like you see families come together. And sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's not a good thing. But we seen a lot. I mean, even from people fighting over chicken, it's great, you know. Mhm. No, for real. I never forget. It was in the wintertime one year, and these guys were out there fighting in the repast over some chicken.
now, someone asked about the transfers of trauma for you. Is there any trauma, or do you feel like you get any trauma in that position?
I think that speaking for myself, I would say that I think if you don't balance your life, you could have it because it's like any other job. Like it's something that you have to care about. But I think that you have to realize if you have your own family, you got children or wife or whatever. My thing is like you have to balance your life out because sometimes people can get numb to it. It's like you get to the point where like you're so busy like working and serving other people's family, then your life is passing you by too. So, to me,
Yeah.
I think, for me, I had to kind of get myself out of that mode because like at one point I was like working a lot and then like it got to a point where I'm like, okay, let me create a healthy balance because like I noticed like over the years, like my voice, you can't hear it now, but my voice had changed. And I ended up developing this condition called spasmodic dysphonia. A lot of people may not know what it is, but it's not life threatening, but it's like this, little ailment where like if I get stressed, my voice strained. And I'm like, I don't know where this came from. But when I went to the doctor, she's like, yeah, it's that job. Because every time you talk about that place, your voice. So what I
Wow.
did was I just, kind of started weaning myself to like have a better balance. And when I did that,
Yeah.
my voice kind of was a little bit better.
Okay. Okay. And I have heard of that before, and it is somewhat with stress related to
hmm
stress concerns. Oh wow. Okay. Well, now you said you were in between Chicago and Missouri. What is that about? What is? Can you share?
So yeah, sure. So I'm from Chicago and my wife is from Missouri. So we're in the process of like you know just kind of rearranging life a little bit. So we're gonna
Okay.
set up a home in Chicago, and at least for now we'll have something down here too.
Okay.
It's a bit
Okay.
it's a bit different, but like in a way I'm cool with it because like the funny thing about it is like I did say that like I wanted to possibly relocate at some point, but sometimes you just however things fall in place, But I mean,
Right.
Chicago gonna always be home to me, and then Missouri's her home, so we kind of agreed that we both are just we'll live in both places.
Yeah. Now, because your license is good in Missouri as well, isn't it? Is it
No, not yet, but I'm gonna God willing apply to get my license down here too.
okay? Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Something
hey,
tells me,
I like to work. I don't, I mean, with a balance, but
yeah,
I don't like sitting around doing that. I like to work.
yeah. Some tell me the reciprocity of morticians is gonna be easy. I
Mhm.
don't think that's gonna be a hard one. Uh, because it doesn't seem like a lot of people have met the criteria because it's almost like you went to school to become a physician.
Yeah, I mean, it was school was rough. Like I don't think a lot of people know, but I mean, I mean, I might well went and been a doctor because
It
like
is.
it was. I mean, you had to know the anatomy, chemistry. It was rough.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes. All right. Well, now let's just go right back around. Now, and those two stories are quite intriguing. Is there any other stories that uh, you could come up with as far
Yeah,
as tell?
yeah. I remember there was one time, and I'll never forget. Like I remember I was at work and I was having like a really rough day. And there was this guy, he was coming in, he was kind of like, don't get me wrong, we all have our days too. And he was a little rough, and I'm like, you know what? I think I better get somebody else to help this individual because I'm not having a good day or whatever. And the guy wanted to be a certain way. And I remember, I think I had something to do the next day and they were having trouble like with the media. And so me being somebody that do media kind of outside of funeral service, I was able to assist the guy. And then he's like, are you gonna be here tomorrow, whatever? I'm like, well, I can't tell you that because I got something to do, But at the same time, like, the guy was kind of rough. But then I just asked him, I said, who is this? And the guy told me it was his wife. And this was a young guy. And he told me the story. Like he said, he went to work regular day, came home, and his wife was gone. And when the guy told me the story, like I had a bit of a change of heart. Like I mean, like I said, that business will bring you back to earth really quick. You know,
Yeah.
it will bring
Yeah.
you back to earth really quick. Hmm.
Yeah. Yes, it will.
And
Yes.
and that's
It's a
that's the
reminder.
yeah, that's the same thing with pro wrestling. Like I've been blessed to meet so many people, but like, cause I remember one of the wrestlers said, "Why are you coming here smiling like that?" I'm like, "Cause I just left the funeral home, man. And I ain't gonna come here all mad. Look, you better thank God for life."
Right, right. Because I just left a couple that I already did, went on to their next deal here.
Yeah.
Now, someone said, "Have you ever thought about coaching about this with families?" Because a lot of families are not prepared for funerals until the day it happens. Have you ever
Yes.
thought about that?
Yes, I actually really do love the academic. I call it the academic side of funeral service, which I call that the educational side because I know like sometimes people just think of it as a money grabbing business, but no, there are people out here that really do love to help, and I think that it is important to educate people about the cost, about just having affairs and things in place because our obligation is to protect our family. So whether it's life insurance or putting money aside, I just think that it's important that people protect their families, you know. And I think that it's important to have discussions about like final disposition, like burial, cremation, or service or no service. Because I mean, sometimes people just don't know what to do, and I do think that it's important to even with children, like sometimes like some parents don't want to teach their children about it, but I think it's very important just to educate your family about that. About life,
Yeah.
death, and money, how things work. I think that's really important.
Right. Because what, as I was reading this, that was my thought. I was like, yeah, because and then you said it costs to even die, right? So even to die, it costs. because like
Yeah,
you said, it's a costly. I see it as the last party,
yeah,
for my loved one. Whenever that's how I reason with it, with the cost of it, or with the situation. It's the last party.
yeah. I
Um,
agree.
yeah,
I, s- I saw what you just said, Keisha. Yeah, I agree. It is expensive, but you know what? That's why it's important to do research. As
yeah,
my wife always said, if you don't know what your options are, and I would tell any family, always do your homework and research because by law, you can get a casket from another place. It don't have to be for the funeral home. You got to
yeah,
do what's more economical for your family. And
yeah.
always ask questions and always do your homework. Know your
Exactly.
rights and your rules and regulations. Because, like I said, one thing about the funeral service is like when you get that price list, a person don't have to get all of the stuff on that list. It's a choice. So I would just encourage every family, like, when the time comes, just do your homework, and just don't let nobody talk you into doing anything that you don't want. You celebrate your loved one's life the way that you desire it to be celebrated.
You're right, right. Well, I had a relative pass away in November, and she planned to the exact T. But that was
Mm-hmm.
her personality, But she knew exactly what she wanted. What all of those things were already covered,
Mm-hmm.
and that was probably the first time that I had experienced that. And I've experienced several deaths, but that
Yeah,
was the first time that I experienced someone already laying it out. And to be honest, she made it really easy.
yeah. Well, a lot of
It was a
people.
lot easier than
I,
us to have that
yeah,
conversation as a family, like who got what and where can we do this. So it was a lot easier that she had it wrote out. So I'm thankful that she did do that for us. She
yeah,
was a young lady as well. So I'm thankful that she did do that for us. That was very thoughtful of her, because it's something that we push to the back. And it's like you keep saying, well, it's creepy, it's scary, but it really is not. It's a part of life.
yeah. Let me
It's a
tell you,
part of
my uncle, we
uh-huh.
called him Butterball. I kid you not. He came up there to visit us. My auntie Betty got real sick down in Alabama. My uncle Butterball came up, drove my grandmother and my auntie Loretta to Alabama to go see my auntie Betty because they thought she was gonna die. My uncle came
Hmm.
back to Chicago while he was visiting us. He just dropped dead.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was supposed to fly back home to Arizona Thursday, and he went on. So
Yeah.
you just never know.
That's true. And that's how it happens. We don't. It's like it throws one thing at us, and often without, because I've even heard them say, I've had several relatives that I've heard even someone say, well, that one probably is going to go before that one. That doesn't happen either. So
Yeah,
that's not how it works.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
it can be really overwhelming. I agree. It's just because like the thing about it is like, and then this is the thing about death. Like what a lot of people don't realize. Like I hear people say, "Oh, we sat in that seat before," but what people don't realize is that you can never speak for another person because
that's
different
right.
people mean different things to you. You know.
That's
So
right.
I mean, I
That's
always say that like people have to be really careful trying to speak for other
I
people.
like that.
And so my thing is that you have to let people grieve how they grieve. If they want to
That's
scream,
right.
holler, whatever you got to do, like So, I just learned let people honor their loved one the way that they want to.
That's right. If they take the last box of chicken off the stove at the family home during the
Yeah,
repast, let them go ahead and have that box.
absolutely.
You're right.
Yeah, because I mean,
Because
because
everybody,
you see a lot. I mean, because I mean, like working there, you see the good, the bad. I mean, I've been at services we had to go in there and because somebody got to fighting or even they've even had some where people done pulled out guns and it's just all kind of stuff.
yeah, yeah, I can see it. I can see it. Because it's painful. It's a
Yeah,
painful experience. But I think that we do need more conversations about it,
Yeah.
which I probably will invite you to one of our other show, my other show that I'm on with some other hosts. Actually, it's called Taboo Chronicles. So I'll probably have you on, actually, honestly, to come back and talk a little bit more about some of those things because it's an uncomfortable topic for a lot
Yeah.
of people. Although it's intriguing, it does tell a lot about you, right?
Yeah, and I'll be more
Because
than happy to bring some of my colleagues on too, because I mean, I was blessed enough to do it for 13 years so far, and I mean, you live and you learn, and I think the thing about it is like educate people, but also be honest and let people know what their options are. It's not about trying to get
yeah,
over on anybody, because I mean, and then too, like most businesses, the industry is changing too, by the way, so. I think that it's just important to educate your people and just let people
yeah,
know what's out there.
yeah, yeah.
Hopefully, preferably people live a nice, long, full life by the grace of God. But it's still good to educate everybody.
Right, right, right. That's good. Education is the key.
Mhm.
Now let's make a little switch. Let's switch. Let's go to the filmmaker. Now that's how we kind of that's what I told folks you are. Although you had a whole lot to the punch, right? Now the filmmaker, you said it started as an alternative. So what? And you said you were interested in Spike Lee, which, by the way, I did watch some of your films, and it did kind of. I can relate. I can see how Spike Lee would be where you were coming from. Someone said you wear a lot of hats. Right, he does. He does. So now, wait, when did your love for film start?
As a child, like I said, I love Spike Lee movie, The Crooklyn. I was a big fan of the movie called The Bronx Tale. I don't know if you saw that movie, but like that one, like the one quote in the movie that I love, it says the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. And so
Yeah,
like I really believe like that I wasn't just meant to be a mortician. Like I like art, I like to write, I like to I like to create stories and characters, and I've been doing that since I was a child. So like I always knew that at some point like I was gonna either go to school for it or just be doing it anyway.
that's amazing. That's amazing. And so, what is one of the best works that you've worked on so far? Or let's answer that one first, and then we'll go into my next question.
So far, the one of the best films like professionally that I worked on, I would say the very first one, which is on my Vimeo page too, by the way. It's called The Future Lasts Forever. And I was the producer. And it was like to me the best one because I got a chance to like, work with a director, work with a writer, work with sound people, work with actors. And like I didn't know that like I would like really like producing. But when I actually got the chance to like the first film that I worked on, I was the producer. And when I got that role, I fell in love with it because I'm like, wait a minute now. Like you see like a lot of people when they go to film, like they want to either direct or act or write. But what people don't realize is like to me, the producer, that's the really big role because you learn how to get the funds. And a lot of times, like what we're seeing now, right, is that like again, a lot of people are kind of like looking to get recognition or get noticed. But what I learned is that if you learn how to produce, you can put yourself out there because all it is just learning how to manage the money, putting together a budget. Because see, a lot of times with producing, I don't have to wait on nobody. I don't have to wait on no agent. I can get enough funds or raise my own money or get a couple of donations. I can produce my own content. Now, of course, it may not be like no big Hollywood blockbuster, but instead of waiting on somebody, I can just do my own thing. And so that's why like I really like admire like Spike Lee, people like that, George Lucas, Tyler Perry, those people who, whether people agree with the content or not, I'm just saying that I like the fact that they funded their own projects, and
Yeah.
then eventually they made names for themselves.
Well, I mean, not 50 Cent
Oh
has
yeah, I got to
done
throw
more.
50 Cent in there. Oh yeah, he's getting down too.
Right.
Matter of fact,
When you,
one of my
yeah, when
cousins is
you,
acting on a couple of his projects.
Right. So when you
Yeah,
talk about being multifaceted or just a artist and
yeah,
bringing just something all the way that's different to the pot, he
yeah,
did that with producing as well. And that makes sense because now you're telling me, okay, because I was wondering why so many of them were going to producing and
yeah,
especially producing shows for like their
yeah,
for different stations now,
yeah. Well,
like
it made
Hulu.
sense because in the film industry, what a lot of people have to learn about is distribution. And my thing is, let's be real. Like sometimes in our community, we don't always have all the resources. So like now
Right.
that we have like social media and things like that, it creates a platform. But still, to be honest with you, the game is still distribution because when you get to like Netflix, you get to like Amazon Prime and these places, like some people just they want a distributor. In order for you to get a distributor, you gotta have money. you know.
Yeah.
And if you don't have like a bigger funding, then you can just put it on other platforms. So I like that people have more options now.
Yeah. I do too. I do too. It's going to open it up for more black filmmakers, more black
Absolutely, but yeah,
producers.
yeah. But I would say
And
sometimes
that
YouTube have better content than what's on some of them platforms.
but I'm just saying, when you look at the traditions of it, before we were not allowed to be on film.
Hmm.
They would blacken their faces,
Yeah,
right? And pretend like they were us. And
yeah. I
even
know
if
what
we
you mean.
came up with a good song or a good act, they would put other people
Yeah,
in our music
yeah.
to do our music on film.
Hmm.
So coming all the way here, where I'm talking to Wade in Chicago, who's a filmmaker, that's a pretty big deal because now we're controlling more of the narratives when we
Hmm.
didn't. Now the resources may be a little bit to none, but we do got Tubi now. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. Matter of fact, I got a friend Shaquille. She has a movie on Tubi called The Other Wife. Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
I
but you know
just
what?
seen it.
But you know what? My thing is like to me, like I'm actually grateful for them platforms because to me, everybody has a right to pursue their dreams, and you got to get in where you
That's
fit
right.
in. And so I
That's
put it
right.
like this. So I'm proud of everybody that's out there doing their thing, living their dream, because a lot of people don't realize, but like it's hard. And when I say it's hard, it's not hard in the sense where that it's not like people can't do it. I say it's hard because like when you're dealing with film, it's subjective, right? Everybody's not gonna like your work. You're gonna
Yeah.
have some people that like it. You're gonna have some people that hate it. But like whenever I watch people work, I don't look at it too much with a critical eye. Like I look at what they were trying to do. Because a lot of
Yeah.
times some people may look at like, oh, that was low budget or that was this or that was that. But I learned that it's art. And to me, like you never know what that filmmaker went through to try to make that project. So the fact that they were able to make it, like to me, I can't speak for the world, but to me, when I watch it, I try to watch it with the understanding of that. They did the best that they could do at that time, and they're gonna only get better.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, give me two projects that would be your dream projects that you would like to do films on.
So one of them I'm actually working on. That's my pro wrestling documentary. Like I can't wait to release that. Now my dream would be to, maybe get a couple of more people on there. But I mean, but for the most part, like I'm grateful that I'm working on that one. And then another one would be like I really would like to like make a documentary about like the immigration thing that's going on. Just because I would just like to document it, like no matter what side of the fence people on, I think it's just history. And I think that documentaries are like really cool to make.
Oh, I didn't hear the last one.
I was just saying that I think that documentaries are really cool to make. So any type of documentary, like I'm down for it.
Okay. All right. And where would you like it? Since we've talked about where you want it distributed at, where would you want it distributed at? Where would be your ideal distribution?
Well, so for my pro wrestling documentary, I would actually love to put it like on like maybe like Amazon Prime or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. And what would be a like a knock all the way out into the heavens? I ain't even gonna see it in the park. If it was to happen, something that would happen to you right now with filmmaking, what would it be?
Probably I would get like maybe a chance to like work on some other projects, with some really cool people. I mean, it don't matter who, but like just
Like who?
maybe like Spike Lee or somebody, Jordan
Okay.
Peele,
Okay.
even George Lucas.
We're
He's
dreaming, right?
retired.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we're dreaming right now, Wade. I want you to dream with me, right?
But
So we're just putting it out there.
yeah, but I realize, so you'll be surprised. Like dreams do come true because, like, even when I step foot into like pro wrestling, right? Like, I've met so many people, like people that were in WWE. I mean, being a filmmaker, I've worked with different actors, and then too, like all my life, I pretty much been around people doing, good things. Like my gym teacher, Kevin Porter, was an NBA player. I got a coworker, Tony Titwell, big time gospel artist. I've known, plenty of people that have been doing extraordinary. I got a cousin right now doing some pretty big thing in acting. So like I've met some pretty cool people, So like I said, I'm not really starstruck. I don't know. It's like I just get in where I fit in.
Okay. Well, I'm not saying be starstruck. I'm saying if it was perfect for you, a perfect place, perfect world, and you Wade could just reach and say, "This is what I want." What would you want?
Oh
That's
yeah, I
all I
definitely.
mean.
Oh yeah, I definitely would want to, like, just get my documentaries out to more people that I'm working on. I mean, like I said, I would like Amazon Prime, but I mean, look, it's just having any support I can get. I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. And I also love I also love documentaries as well. And someone said, what advice would you give a kid that's trying to figure out their next step? Would you send them to college or recommend a trade?
Honestly, my best advice would probably be like a trade, only because like the world is kind of changing, and college is not what it used to be. Like, don't get me wrong, like it's good if you want to go, but like if you're gonna go, you need to be very intentional because again, the way that like you think about even with the film industry, right? Like now, for instance, like with SAG, right? I mean, actors were out of work for a long time. And because of technology, right? Like, don't get me wrong, like, it has some pros and cons, but it's like in this world we live in today, I would probably recommend trade only because, like, a lot of the things are going to be obsolete after a while, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And I think they did the colleges or the universities. I know certainly because I have a master's degree, but certainly it came at a big price
Yeah,
for,
oh yeah,
and so
definitely. Yeah, I'm paying for it too. I know what you mean, especially them loans. Like them loans are no joke. That's why I really get a scholarship. You got the right to
yeah,
pursue whatever dream you want, but I would tell anybody, whatever you want to do, you let God lead
mhm,
you, you do it. But at the same time, make sure that you be careful with them student loans. Don't get yourself in too much debt.
yes,
Try to find what you want to do for an economical
yes,
price, because them student loans ain't no joke.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
they ain't
right.
no joke.
That's
So
right.
that's why I would recommend personally trade school, or and if you do go to college, just make sure you go somewhere where it's reasonable for you.
Yeah, that is reasonable. I agree with you. I agree with you because there's a lot of different places where we're moving into, that you need a degree, um, and because it is coming from somewhere inside. So
Hmm.
most everything you need, you got it already. As Wade
Yeah.
has kept sharing with us, hey, I knew this when I was a child. Connecting with his childhood dreams and things that his childhood had already spoke to himself about. So mostly everything we already have. Ida B. Wells is one of my uh, favorites, and so I'm always writing. Now I'm podcasting, and that's because to be able to get a message to other people, to help other people, because that's what she did. So, like I said, that's one of my people that I admire in our history. That way, if anyone wanted to contact you, how would they contact you?
You can find me on Facebook, Wade Simmons, or on Instagram, Wade Jedi 99. But I mean, I'm a chatterbox, so feel free to reach out. I do
No.
respond to my messages, by the way.
All right. All right. Now, also, Wade, could you tell us anything that you could give our audience? Because I like our guests or my guests to leave nuggets. Is there any nuggets that you can leave for our audience?
I would say that every day that God allows you to wake up, enjoy it and do what you love. I mean, the one thing about life, right? If you step out on faith and give it a try, you never know. One of my favorite scriptures says, "So teach us to number our days that we might apply hard unto wisdom." And so, to me, knowing that all of our days are numbered, that's one thing. But to me, like if we keep that in mind that our days are numbered, let's use them numbers wisely. So you can do anything you put your mind to with the help of God. So pursue your dreams and don't let nothing stop you. Just keep going. Everybody have setbacks. But hey, sometimes the setbacks end up working out for you. So don't give up.
Right. That's right. That's good. 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 And you said Facebook, and are you on Instagram too?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. Again, Wade Jedi 99. And also, if they want to check out any of my film work, you can check me out on Vimeo, Wade Filmmaker 777 on Vimeo. I got quite a few films there, so you check it out.
Okay, we just posted it. We just posted it. Well, Wade, you're certainly amazing. I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited that you did get your license. I know that was a lot of work. I'm going to be excited to see some of these shows come out because those actually are my favorite. I like things about real people, real things. Those are usually what I fill my time up either listening to or watching. I really I'm looking forward to seeing your work out here. Um, well, I guess we are getting ready to let our audience see some of his work before we close out tonight. I just want to say thank you for joining me and Wade tonight on Put It All on Red. Good night.
Hi, I'm Wade Simmons. I'm a filmmaker. I've been doing it for 6 years. I produce, I direct, I write my own content. I'm somewhat of an actor too. How was your day?
It was okay. I'm going to Vegas in October.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of the stories that I tell are either about family, love, or relationships. And I think family is important. It really inspired me to write. Writing is really what I'm passionate about. I was born in Chicago on February 13th of 1992, and I'm proud to be a part of Black History in the Making. God has given us all talents and beautiful gifts, but I'm proud to be me. if I can pursue my dream, you can too.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you.
Thank you so much again. Thank everybody for joining us tonight.
Yeah, that was a little something.
What did
I
you
had
want to
my
say,
wife
Wade?
do. No, I said that was a little something I had my wife do for me because I'm trying to get my wife into editing, so I'm like, let's have a little fun with it, do a little introduction video. So that was an introduction video. So I appreciate you all.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, thank you as well. Good night, and thank you for joining myself and our audience. I'll put it all on red.
There's a sparkle in your eyes. I feel the warmth of your skin.